Sunday Surefire Podcast. It's your host this week, Aaron Downtown Brown. I got the co-host, Ethan Weaver.
Aaron, how we doing?
We are doing, my friend. It is week 12. We have 3 weeks left of our fantasy season. Are you
Crazy.
on full on panic mode or what?
It's actually been a pretty good year for me. Redraft's going well, Dynasty's going really well. So just trying to finish strong. What I have noticed in a lot of my redraft leagues and even Dynasty leagues, some of the leagues we're in, everybody is like neck and neck. Like you lose a game, you go from like second, third place to seventh. It's just like all my leagues are just so tight. So I just need to finish strong and hopefully get in the playoffs in all my leagues here.
I hear you. I think I'm in both sides of the coin where I'm in the playoffs right now, but it can turn south for me really quick, or I'm like 1 or 2 games out. So these last
You
final
got to
weeks
start
will
winning.
really, I know, gotta catch on hot, right? So it'll definitely be interesting, finish to our fantasy season. But what we'll do is we'll kind of jump right to our normal show and DFS for the week in week 12. And but I guess first I have a surprise for everyone. We'll bring this back. Ethan, I am regretful to say they're up on the top yet again. You got the highest score from week 11, 137. Actually, I think you were 138. Am
Yeah,
I?
you jipped me. It was
I dipped you
137.9.
by a
Round that
point.
up. Round that up. Come on.
No, 137 is fine enough. But you I got a little thing we can play here.
You like that? You like that?
Yes, I do, Kirk. Yes, I do.
You like that? Yeah. So Ethan, why don't you go ahead and tell the folks what did you like about week 11, and we can jump right into week 12.
Yeah, the picks that I had on the pod last week, I wasn't on, but you and Kamish discussed it. My biggest winner pick from last week was Juwan Jennings. He had 25.1 points at a cost of $5,300. So clearly a massive return. That was honestly one of the probably the only pick that kind of fit our bill in terms of the you like that, the I told you so's. I mean, I had Jahmyr Gibbs. He had 19 points, not quite 3x. And then I had the Lions defense who had a respectable 10 points, but still didn't fit that 3x, but still serviceable. But overall, 138 was a pretty good week.
Yeah, no, definitely in agreement with you there. Hopefully, I can make a run at it with you this week. You've been kind of taking it away this year a little bit, but I think I said, hey, if I don't score over 130, I might retire after this week because that's how bullish. That's how many surefire picks I got this week. So hopefully, I'm coming in hot. Kind of take your throne from the last couple weeks in week 12. So hopefully it get interesting. So with that, we'll kind of jump right into our normal agenda here. But first, you can kind of see we don't have Kamish on the show this week. He's gonna be recording a special betting episode. But what he is going to do is he's gonna drop his picks in our Discord. So I actually have a QR code on the left. If any of you viewers, you can scan that QR code. It'll take you right to our Sunday Surefire Discord, and then you'll kind of see some of those surefire picks this week where Kamish should be coming in hot, and maybe he'll have some you'll like that picks next week. But we hope so. We hope so. If we do cheer for each other too, better each other does, better content there. But
Yeah, as long as I win, I'll be cheering for you guys.
yeah. Well, like I said, hey, my career is on the line. I said I'm retiring if I don't score over 130 this week. So I got a lot.
Yeah, you need this. I mean, your undefeated Kansas City Chiefs lost this past weekend. You need to bounce back in a big way this week in DFS.
That's right. That's right. I mean, we got a lot we're playing for with my favorite team, Blues, and we just got a lot of things just turn around this week. The final weeks to the fantasy. I mean, this is a make or break week in a lot of ways in football. So let's go ahead and get it started here. We'll start with our bullish buy category. These are the guys that we're pretty confident in. A lot of times they're higher prices, but I actually even like when we do this, what we got here, they're a little bit lower price, but we're pretty bullish. Last week I had David Montgomery. He was my bullish buy from last week. I said he'll easily get 2 touchdowns. He had that in the first half. So I guess that was really my main bullish buy. But it looks like you have a similar price point with your section. Ethan, how about you kick us off in the bullish buy section?
My bullish buy is James Conner at a cost of 6,500, which is relatively low for a bullish buy. I just think James Conner with this matchup against Seattle is one of the safer backs on the slate. And James Conner has scored double-digit fantasy points in all but 2 games this year. He's just had a great year. He's staying healthy, knock on wood. I like the matchup against Seattle. Seattle ranks 27th in rush yards allowed a game, 138.6, and they are the 5th most generous in EPA per carry. So a lot of scoring opportunities for James Conner. I think in this game, I think the Cardinals, wrong bird. The Cardinals have been playing some very good football as of late. James Conner is a big reason for that. He's been very involved in the receiving game. He didn't do a ton on the ground last time he was out. I know he's coming off his bye, but he crushed it through the air. So I am expecting a big performance by James Conner in a divisional matchup against the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I think we'll probably talk about it here in the next couple of weeks. The last couple of weeks of the late push in football, I think these divisional games get interesting, and there's a lot of times I like picking DFS players in these division games because a lot on the line, both fighting for playoff spots. So I think we'll hear a little bit more about that later on too. But yeah, Connor, I mean, he's been pretty solid. Average points per game. So can't argue with it. I think that is a good game to target. We'll move over to my guy here. I'm going with Mr. Brock Purdy for 6,400, a little bit cheaper quarterback play, but being QB8 this year, that's another game I really wanted to gravitate towards. It's San Francisco at Green Bay, so a lot on the line as well, as I just mentioned. So a lot, high stakes to playing for seeds and different things, but matchup wise too, I love, with Brock being the away team, Green Bay's favorite at home. Like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of activity, a lot of offense to go around in this game. So a stat I've liked to talk about a lot this year is, this average, time to throw in the pocket. Brock is actually top 3 in the league, only behind Lamar and Jalen Hurts in time to throw. Green Bay's not really a strong pass rush, or 8th worst in the league as well. And then actually my favorite thing as I deep dove this game a little bit too is Green Bay has a 2nd worst depth of target in the league too. So I think, a couple things just lining up to where if you're giving Brock Purdy a little bit, that he's already got time to throw, and then Green Bay has already given up, big chunk plays. I really like that for some of his key players he can throw to. So Brock Purdy is my bullish buy this week.
I'm a big Brock Purdy fan, and I think Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers need a bounce back game. I was kind of shocked they blew that one against Seattle last week, so they're in dire needs of a win. Brock Purdy, he wasn't really on my radar in this week's slate for a quarterback. I went a little lower cost in that position, but Brock Purdy, he has CMC back. I mean, Juwan Jennings is doing more than our guy Ayuk was doing. I mean, Pearsall's coming on, Deebo Samuel. George Kittle, not sure if he's going to play, but we know Purdy has the weapons. It doesn't seem like the entire team has been firing on all cylinders. It looks like Aaron Downtown Brown is projecting an offensive explosion from the 49ers here. So, but we'll see if it works out for you. I don't think it's a direction I would go, but on the road against Green Bay, I mean, you're hoping obviously for a shootout, but $6,400 is not that bad for a quarterback anyway. So, I mean, Brock's been very, very steady this year. So I don't think you can really go wrong putting Brock Purdy in your lineup. I went in a different direction.
Yeah, I definitely get it. I mean, for both of these picks, they're not going to break the bank. So I'm sure we, as you can kind of see, or to throw some of these guys in your lineup, you can kind of do a lot of fun things with a little bit lower profile guys in this section. But let's move on to defense here, Ethan. We'll kick it off with you again, and why don't we talk in this too deep section who you're running with at a defense?
Yeah, and just one more thing on Purdy, like I said, it was just he's been very consistent. I think the last 5 or 6 games he's scored pretty much 20 plus points. So, like I said, didn't go with it, but I mean, there's arguably not many more safer quarterbacks to play than Brock Purdy. So if you like him in Green Bay, why not throw him in there?
So you
Um,
like it? You're agreeing with Mr. Downtown Brown now.
Hey, I like Brock. Like I said, he's been crushing for me in my
Yeah.
fantasy leagues. I just looking at the DFS slate in terms of the different quarterbacks. I thought there was some decent values with quarterback this week. But 6,400, I mean, it's a bullish buy, quote unquote, but it's actually not a bad price for a guy that's basically guaranteed 20 points.
Yep.
So going to the too deep section, as you said, I went with the Commanders. Um, in my the reason why I went with the Commanders, 2 words: Cooper Rush. I know he did put up decent passing yards there on Monday night against the Texans, but I mean, obviously prone to turnovers, had a pick six. The Texans defense, in my fantasy league anyway, scored me a good 19 points. So I'm just kind of rolling with the that tide here. The Commanders have been playing pretty good defensively. The game's in Washington, division matchup. The Dallas Cowboys are 31st in terms of rush yards a game. So in my opinion, there's just too much falling on the shoulders of Cooper Rush. And I think it's going to be a long day against the team and the Commanders that are going to be looking for a W after getting kind of shellacked versus another division opponent last Thursday against the Eagles. So I think the Commanders bounce back in a big way and beat the Dallas Cowboys pretty handily.
Yeah, I mean the good thing about this pick, I know Cooper Rush, he threw over 300 yards, this week, or this past week. But good thing about fantasy football is that doesn't really hurt your defense at all for fantasy points. So as long as he's getting yards and he's not throwing for touchdowns, I think that's a good thing. So I think that's probably where it comes. Where even if they can kind of move the ball a little bit down the field, I do think it's safe to say I don't think Rush is thrown for 3 or 4 touchdowns this week too. I don't think that's in the card. So not a horrible play there. I am kind of a little bit more of an advocate for my defense this week here in this section. We'll move on. I'm going with the Broncos for 3,200. So about the same price point, but you save about $300 here. The Broncos play the Raiders. I mean, as we know, the Broncos have actually had a pretty decent season this year, and it's really kind of led by their defense. They're averaging 9 fantasy points per game in DFS. As I've always said, if you can score 8+ points, that's good. If you can get anything over 8, you're kind of in the ball game as far as that's what you're shooting for. So they're averaging 9. They have 39 sacks on the year. That's also 20 more sacks than the top ranked defense of this week of the Chiefs, or the top price this week. So the Chiefs only have 19 sacks, so 20 more than the Chiefs. And then Minshew's also bottom of the league as far as like time to throw. He's got to get the ball out in like 2.3 seconds. So compile that with how many sacks Denver has this year, I think that's kind of just why I like that pick this week. But I went Broncos for 3,200.
No, I like the Broncos play. The Las Vegas Raiders have been a good matchup against opposing defenses, and the Broncos have been one of the best defenses in the league this year. So definitely like the call. You're saving $300 for my defense, so that's good in that regard as well. It's the Raiders just don't have a lot. They have Jacoby Myers, and they have the legend that is Brock Bowers. So hopefully it's not a big Brock Bowers game because they don't really have many other options to throw the ball to. But I would rather take my chances with the Commanders defense against Cooper Rush, which is why I leaned towards the Commanders, but I definitely like the Broncos call as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think both defenses are pretty good. If you play multiple lineups, throw them both in your lineup, kind of see which one hits there. But yeah, I think pretty two solid plays. I think also safe plays there. But we'll move on. I think my personal favorite category. This is the pick six category. A little bit more value at these prices where you got to get a little cheaper. We're kind of hoping they have big weeks. So Ethan, we'll let you lead off again. Start with your highest pick six player of the week.
Yeah, so my most expensive pick six player is Jalen Waddle at 5,300. I know it's a little gross right now with Jalen Waddle. I just think he's kind of due, right? I mean, he hasn't really had that great of a year, but I just don't think the Miami Dolphins, they really haven't been chucking the ball around the yard like we're used to seeing them. I think that may happen against my New England Patriots this week. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp just shredded them in New England, and I think Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle may have a big day. I feel like every time Miami comes to town or the Patriots go there, the Patriots always struggle in Miami, and I always feel like Jalen Waddle usually has a good game against my New England Patriots. But at a price point of 5,300, I always like the upside in Jalen Waddle. He can score any play with his kind of speed. But the Week 11 separation report through PFF ranked Jalen Waddle the fourth best receiver in terms of separation. He separated like 89% of the time on his opportunities. So it was a pretty good report from PFF, and I think Waddle is it's not like he's just regressed this season. I just don't know if Tua's not finding him as much as we're used to, and he's just struggled thus far this season, which is why his price point's at 5,300. But I'm willing to take the risk with Jalen Waddle at that price, and for my DFS lineup, I hope he goes off. But for as a fan, I hope not, because I'm a fan of the Patriots. So obviously, if Waddle goes off, it's not good things for them.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see it on this play, kind of gravitating, kind of attacking the Patriots. I think that was the first thought that came to my head, is just what the Rams did to him. But yeah, I think in just Waddle in general, I think one thing we're seeing this year is Miami's actually using the tight end this year, where they haven't in the last couple of years. Jonnu Smith's kind of going off and becoming a thing again. So, I mean, I think you got Tyreek Hill week in, week out, going forward. Miami's trying to make a push to be playoff contenders as well. So they're definitely going to be, putting a lot of effort in this game and trying to throw it around. So don't hate the call. I think actually that's just might be what we look at from week in, week out, where, I think Tyreek's somewhat of a safe play, but is it do they throw it a little bit to the tight end and gravitate away from Waddle or not? But can't hate that play. Like I said, you've been kind of mopping us up lately on DFS, so I'm not gonna disagree with you a whole lot, but I'll just we'll definitely kind of see how this goes. But
if you do disagree, I'll just point to the scoreboard.
Yeah. Hey, until this week, I mean, if I'm
Yeah.
like, well, might not be in a downtown Brown next week if I retire. If I don't hit my quota here. But yeah, we'll go on to my first player here. I really love this call here. I'm going Rachaad White, 5,400 starting running back this week. He's going up against the Giants. I think we got caught a little bit of slack. We got an old time fan of the show, old host, the Captain Carmen. As we know, he's a Giants fan. He was quick to point out Giants have one of the best pass rushes in the league. They were leading the league in sacks not too long ago, but the run defense is not very good. So one of the reasons why I like Rachaad White here, I mean, their average depth of tackles 5.3 yards. I think but the biggest reason the run defense is bad is they're leading the league in missed tackle rate too. So if you can't tackle, I know you being a fan of the Patriots, that's anytime you look at Bill Belichick, he's just talking about tackling. It's like we're in, just going back to the basics. And it's funny when you hear the great mind like Bill Check. He's like, we just got to tackle better. So I think when you look at that, Giants, I really like this matchup. Tampa Bay's run against the Giants this week, but then just Rashad White in general, he's been a top 5 running back the last 4 weeks before his bye. Um, dating back, I mean, he had a 29-point game where he was RB2, 15-point game, a 12-point game, and a 19-point game where he was RB5 before that bye too. So really like Rashad White. He's kind of shown glimpses of where he was in 2023. So I went Rashad White at 5,400.
I love the call. I actually had him in my lineup for a bit, and then I took him out. But I just think with Godwin and Evans out, you've seen Rashad White being utilized in the passing game like he was in 2023. He's been crushing in the receiving game, and he's been okay in the run game. But him and Bucky Irvin have been a good 1-2 punch. But I do think Rashad White gets a lot of usage this week, so I do like that call a lot.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I mean, I think for 5,400, that kind of fits, right where we start looking at for value plays for running backs. We'll kind of moving on here. This is kind of interesting. I kind of had to do a double take, and even right now, I was kind of looking like, did we pick the same guy? But the more I looked at it, I'm like, okay, no, there are definitely 2 Patriots receivers, but I don't think they're the same one. So let's have a little Patriots powwow for now. And Ethan, with you being a Patriots fan, I'll let you go first and then plead your case, and I'll go ahead after you.
So I attacked this Miami New England Patriots game a little bit here, the divisional matchup, like you said. But I went Kendrick Bourne. I just thought his price point was way too low at 3,600. He came off his mini suspension in week 10, and he came out in week 11, went 5 for 70 and a touchdown. I think Kendrick Bourne is arguably their best receiver. Just talking about the receivers, Hunter Henry's been their best option, but teams are starting to take that away a little bit. So I think Kendrick Bourne and probably Demario Douglas have been the best 2 receivers on the team. And Kendrick Bourne, I think for 3,600 doesn't have to go off to return value here. I do think Miami is going to put up points in this game. So just in terms of how I think this game is going to go, I do think the Patriots are going to have to throw. Drake May, in my opinion, has looked very, very good as a rookie. He's given myself and Patriot fans hope for the future. He looks like he's the real deal. And if they're put in a situation where they're in chuck it mode, I think Kendrick Bourne is going to smash at a price point of 3,600. So that's why I was happy to get him in my lineup in week 12.
Yeah, it's funny. This one where we can't really agree on the player, but we're kind of agreeing on this game, and hopefully one of us are right here. So who knows? Maybe both. Maybe May is going to be thrown around for over 300 yards. But to your point, I think, I was going to bring that up too. Credit to Drake May. I do like how he's looked this year, and I think, he's kind of shown as a bright future to be the Patriots quarterback. But yeah, I kind of wanted to target this game. I kind of, in I guess a negative way for you, I kind of wanted to target a team that's not favored, but will have a good game script, right, for wide receivers. So, but looking at this, Miami is another team, not a huge, not a great team as far as a pass rush is concerned, as well. So I think May's gonna be able to toss it around a little bit. Now here's a very interesting stat I thought, and that I found, Ethan, and see if you've heard this one before. Miami on defense averages one of the lowest depth for targets in the league. Okay, it's only like 2 or 3 yards per target in the entire league for all the targets, but their average reception is like 9 to 10 yards plus, right? So that kind of tells me, kind of looking in between the lines there, is they kind of sag off a little bit. They let those quick throws happen, and they get a lot of yak against them, right? So I'm actually going to Mario Douglas for 4,500. I think he can kind of get those short, choppy throws and get the ball out quick to Douglas, where he's kind of shown he's kind of that target leader with the Patriots as well. So I went 4,500, a little bit more expensive for Bourne, but I thought that was kind of interesting where I think he can, he already shows to get targets, but I think Miami has shown they will give that up to the wide receiver. So that's my 2 cents on my Patriots receiver on this show.
I mean, if I was gonna pick a Patriot receiver, which I did, I mean, it was Bourne or Demario Douglas. I thought that was Demario Douglas, but it looks like you picked a picture of him with his old number 81. He changed it to number 3, so it threw me off a little bit. But it's hard.
Yes.
It's hard to tell. Yeah. So I think it's basically a coin flip between Bourne and Douglas. I saved a little bit of money with Bourne, and I just think Bourne, he's the veteran in that room. He's put together some good games with the Patriots. He's just been kind of in and out with injuries, and then like I said, he'd make a mini suspension there in week 10. But so I do think Drake May's gonna have to drop back quite a bit and throw the rock. So that's why I kind of wanted to target one of these Patriot receivers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, we're both kind of in agreement, kind of gravitating to those games. I mean, they're both pretty cheap. So if you're a viewer out there, I probably wouldn't suggest putting, don't put both of them in your lineup.
No.
Definitely depending on what your what your budget is looking like. I mean, it does seem like one of us may possibly be right here, and I think it'll be an interesting game to kind of target with May playing a little bit.
Hey, for your sake, I hope Demario Douglas goes off, dude.
Yeah, I need it, man. I need it to stay on the pod, man. I got a rep to protect.
Yeah, hey, I'm about to send out some applications after this week if you don't hit 130.
Exactly. Yeah, I put a lot on the line here, so hopefully hopefully I hit that 130 threshold. But yeah, I like it. I like week 12. Like I said, I think there's a lot going on this week in a lot of ways. So should be pretty exciting. And I think in regards to exciting, let's kind of end it here on a fun note. What we definitely like to do, and we'll move on to some hot takes for the week. And I guess I'll kick this one off. Of course, I'm gonna stick to my bullish buy this week. I got a lot of words right there. So Brock Purdy, I think he has a big game over. I think when you find it in DK, if you select his plus 280 yards, I think he can get 3 touchdowns. And I think Debo and CMC will both score this week. And I also like the over in this game with Green Bay 49ers. It's 48.5. And I'd even move that up to over 50 that I like as well. So it's a pretty juicy hot take, I think, this week. But I'm pretty big on this game here. So I want Brock Purdy.
Yeah, get Purdy in your lineups, folks. If he's gonna have a stat line like this. I have Purdy in a few spots, so in redraft and dynasty. So I hope this comes to fruition here. So another hot take from Aaron Downtown Brown, and I kind of gave the listeners a kind of a bonus player that I actually have in my lineup. I was actually debating going JSN for my bullish buy. I just think JSN has kind of ascended to the player that we thought he was going to be at Ohio State. He's been just awesome over the last few games. Over the last 2 weeks, he's received 11 and 13 targets, turning that into 10 and 7 receptions for 110 and 180 yards. And I think he continues to eclipse the century mark for the 3rd straight week. I think he has 8+ receptions and he goes over 100 yards. So a big day for JSN. I think Seattle and Arizona is going to be a juicy matchup for us fantasy managers and for our DFS lineup. So I attacked another divisional game. So I'm basically just hammering divisions this week.
Hey, like I said, that's not a bad way to go. Like I said, it really starts, football gets even more exciting in the last, second half of the year, just in general to watch. But yeah, also for fantasy, I think that's where some of these guys kind of turn the corner. I think, hopefully that happens with JSN. I mean, everybody kind of needs a little bit of breaks here and there. Not to say it was great that DK got hurt, but I think it's also just nice to see that JSN kind of stepped up in his place, and hopefully he can be that player we all kind of wished he has been at that draft capital last couple of years. So I kind of hope for that to continue for JSN's sake for fantasy there. So definitely some hot takes. Hot takes this week here. We will actually move on to our Thursday night game now. and you can actually see it here. So we're talking Pittsburgh Steelers at Cleveland this week for Thursday night football. You kind of see the lines at the top here. Pittsburgh is favored, coming off that hot win against the Ravens. They're favored 3.5 points as the away team. Over and under, I think, kind of going along with the theme we were talking about is, only 36.5 points. As we know, these AFC North games kind of get pretty interesting. Where just last week we saw just a bunch of field goals winning winning last week against the Ravens. So a lot of defense. Kind of grimy games here. But Ethan, I'll kind of turn it over to you to kind of see, how do you kind of feel this game's going to go, and we'll kind of talk bets and DFS after that.
Yeah, I mean, a divisional matchup on a short week, Thursday night football. I do think the Steelers come out on top. I'm pretty comfortable taking them -3.5 in this one. I just don't think Jameis Winston is going to put up another performance like he did last week. The last time, I mean, Jameis Winston went up against a good defense. He absolutely got torched with the Chargers there, and the Chargers defense went off. So I just don't see Winston being able to lead many scoring drives against this Steelers defense. I think he's going to be on the ground a lot, and I think he's going to make a lot of mistakes. So I would, like I said, I would lean heavily towards Pittsburgh in this one, and I'd take them comfortably at -3.5.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think Pittsburgh. I mean, they're definitely kind of holding up to their reputation as just, they get it done in the regular season. I mean, say what you want about them, the last couple years with Tomlin, but they do win in the regular season. So I think that's, a tribute to them and their coaching and just some of the moves they've done with Russell Wilson as well. Even though it's not always pretty. I mean, they don't always win in pretty ways, but I kind of agree with you. I think Cleveland's definitely not having this a great season. Even their defense, which we thought that would be pretty good this year, they're kind of on a downturn as well. But as for bets, I got a couple tips here. Downtown's tips over in the bottom right corner. I kind of just went with a lot of player props here. I like Njoku over 4.5 receptions at a -115. Jerome Ford actually too. So I think again with Pittsburgh's pass rush, I think they got to just get the ball out quick. I actually like Jerome Ford to get at least 2 receptions. That's a -1. Najee's rush attempts, I like his over at 16 rush attempts. I think that's actually fairly low. I mean, I think he might have 18 to 20. And then the last prop there is a race to 25. I think neither team will have 25 points in this matchup. So those are my tips of the week. And Ethan, we can kind of cover yours next.
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, Njoku's been an absolute target hog. If they fall behind, which I expect them to do, Njoku's going to be a favorite target, obviously, of Winston. Jerome Ford, I mean, with the receptions, like I said, game script, I think they're going to be behind, so that's good. The Cleveland Browns are decent against the run, but again, game script, give the ball to Najee and let them work. And then with an over under of 36.5, I mean, race to 25. I'd be surprised if any team gets there. So I do think that's a pretty decent bet there. So my lock of the week right here is just three leg parlay. Like I said, love the Pittsburgh -3.5. I just don't think the Cleveland Browns can stay with them. I think Winston is going to kind of turn into a pumpkin. Which, I mean, I think this defense is going to kind of go off, which you see Jameis Winston to throw a pick is -200. So Vegas is telling you he's throwing an interception.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could do over 1.5 here.
Yeah, there you go. Juiced it up a little bit.
But I won't get crazy here. But Winston over 0.5 in terms of the interceptions, I think is free money there. And then Pickens 60+. I was surprised, +100. Cleveland has been great against the receiver position. They've been getting up some yards. I think they're the 25th against wide receivers. And George Pickens has the fourth most receiving yards in the league right now. So I think 60 plus at plus 100. I thought that was a little odd that you would receive that good of odds for George Pickens, who's Russell Wilson's favorite target. So I think I'm pretty locked into this 3-leg parlay. So I'll be betting it this week and hopefully winning some money.
There you go. I definitely like it. I like me some parlays. I like multiple. I like them. Just keep throwing them at me.
I mean, this isn't long enough. This isn't long enough. You use like the 6 to 8 legs.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I might add some of mine to it just to get a little bit more action going.
Or you do something crazy like the Cooper Rush over 25 rushing yards last night.
Yeah. I know. That's the one.
Hey, what you see those odds, though, dude? But you see those odds.
Yeah, but you see the odds. That's the thing. Yeah, I was that close from a $2 bet turning what was it, like $3,000. So he was only 23 yards short. But yeah, no, that's kind of fun there for betting. I'll always, we know you throw a little bit, obviously bet responsibly, but yeah, it's definitely fun to
throw that out the window. Come on.
Oh yeah, we're talking parlays here. What's responsible about that? But of course, too, if you want to be a little bit more conservative, throw some of these just for single bets, just to throw a little bit out there on the game. But we'll kind of move on to DFS captains lineup here too. We'll kind of start with the QR code first. As I said, Commission not with us tonight, so that QR code you can scan and it will join our Discord. He's going to throw his picks for Thursday night in our Discord, and you also get all the other activity where we got all the fantasy advice that we give out and questions that we answer in the Discord as well. So go ahead and join that if you haven't already. But we'll go ahead and talk DFS captains, and that's where that's your DraftKings lineup where it's just the Thursday night game. Your captain's player, obviously, you got to pay up 1.5 times, but they score you 1.5 times more points as well. So, kind of got him in front of us here. I went Najee. It's my captain. I think he's one of the top captains of the week. So he's 13,800. I think just talking game script, AFC North, just got to kind of go with that theme for my captain. I think if he falls in the end zone in a low over under, I think that's a pretty safe play. So I went Najee at my captain, and then Ethan, we can move on to you after that.
Yeah, I think with game script and the amount of rushing attempts he's been getting week to week, he's pretty safe. Najee's going to get the work. I think it's going to be a positive game script. So, and he's not one of the most expensive captains. When I look at my captain, I always try to be like, hey, what's the best matchup on the field? I think in this case, outside my captain, which I think the defense has the Pittsburgh defense has the best matchup on the field against Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns offense. But I really like George Pickens too and his matchup, but he's pretty pricey. But Najee Harris, even though Cleveland has a decent rushing defense, Najee Harris is going to get the work. He's going to get the carries and hopefully he can fall in the end zone. But I went with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like I said, I think Jameis Winston is going to struggle against the defense as good as the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to rack up some sacks and some picks. Hopefully Jameis Winston can do what he does and throw a pick 6 or 2, and that Steelers D really comes through. But I'm pretty confident in the Steelers defense on Thursday night.
Yeah, I like it too. I have the Steelers in my lineup. They're just, of course, not my captain, as you can see. But yeah, I think that's a safe. That's just an exciting play. Every sack. I mean, obviously you can root during the entire game. Or on offense, if you got some Steelers players, and on defense, every sack. If you got a Browns offensive player, and that happens, so it also makes it exciting in that way. There's always something that can keep checking your phone as you rank up in those DFS games. But as far as value, we're both aligned here. We're going Chris Boswell at kicker. I think that's pretty. It's also pretty safe to say. I mean, I think his over 1.5 field goals is heavily over 2 with minus odds. I think it's close to minus 200 as well. So I think he's good for two, two field goals where we just came off a game. What do you have, like 6? Single-handedly beat the Ravens last week too.
Yeah,
So
24 fantasy points for Boswell. So that's going to do it. It's a good week.
that's right. That's right. So I don't think a whole lot more to say about Boswell. I think as far as value goes, pretty good value especially as much as we talking about how this game we anticipate going. Um, with a little bit of a defensive battle at times. So definitely can get you some points there. So I think that's all we got for this week's show. Definitely tune in. I've talked it a few times with our Discord. Check our socials. We're very interactive in all of them too. With our Instagram, you can find us on X as well. But yeah, just look us up, Sunday Surefire. But until next time, folks, peace.